Welcome into Falcons Today. I am Will Scott. On today's show, we're going to talk about the latest on Marcus Mariota. Now, did Marcus Mariota quit on the Falcons? That's obviously been a big story. We're going to get into that. And we're going to answer some of your questions with the mailbag later on in the show. And as I mentioned, this wild Marcus Mariota story. As we all recall, the day that Desmond Ridder was named the starter, head coach Arthur Smith also said Marcus Mariota is gone. And a lot of us were like, what? What's going on there? Here's what the Athletic said, and they quoted an anonymous NFL agent in the story. I thought Mariota quit on the Falcons, and it was unfair to a rookie like Desmond Ridder, who was there for Mariota to that point in the season. So it seems like, and this is obviously not a surprise, the quote from the agent, because it certainly looked like this when everything went down. It looks like that Marcus Mariota was upset about getting benched, and I understand that there was, that report about an injury as well, but it seems like that Mariota quit on this team, and that's just a really bad look. It certainly seems odd that he went to IR right after being benched because we all assumed that he was fully healthy before he got benched, and there certainly has been speculation, not just with that story from The Athletic, but before that as well, that he quit on the team because he was upset about getting benched. And obviously his benching made a lot of sense. The Falcons offense had put up 14, 13 points per game in the last 5 weeks before that. He could not get the offense going. He was struggling. The Falcons were losing games. You had this promising rookie on the bench that you wanted to see what he could do, especially after, you were kind of out of the playoff race at that point. The benching made a lot of sense. You think Mariota, as a veteran, a guy that has been called a high-character guy in this league for a long time, you think he would throw his hands around Mariota around Ridder and support him. Quite the opposite happened. Now, we're always going to break down rumors, news, anything on the Atlanta Falcons, so be sure to go down and subscribe to the channel, and it is going to be an eventful offseason. So we're going to have you covered throughout the offseason, but it's not quite there yet. So we'll also get you some news and rumors leading up to that game on Sunday against the Bucs. Go down, subscribe to the channel. I want to ask you all, and this is the pinned comment, so reply to it when you get a second. Did Marcus Mariota quit on the Falcons? Y for yes, N for no, down in the comments section. I got to type Y for yes. It is pretty evident at this point, especially after this report from The Athletic that Mariota did quit on the team. It is the pinned comment, so go down and reply. Let's get into a mailbag now. You have questions, I have answers, and we begin with Little V83839, Nicholas V. That's a nice ring to it, that name. I'm so confident in Ridder in the future. I do believe he does stare down London a bit too much. What are your thoughts on this? There's no question that Drake London has been the biggest target of Desmond Ridder. In fact, most of Ridder's passing yards have gone to Drake London, so those two have chemistry. I think it's a good thing that those two are developing chemistry later on, but Ridder can't be a one-read guy. He needs to look for some other guys, and we have yet to see him put up a massive number of passing yards in a game. I would like to see him continue to build on his previous 3 starts this week. But you're right, he certainly does look to London a lot. Taking a look at his stats here with Ridder, 28 targets, 19 receptions, 213 yards. I think it's more of a good thing than a bad thing, but at the same time, Ridder certainly needs to look for some other guys, and this is why the Falcons need another wide receiver, and I do believe they need to prioritize getting a wide receiver in free agency or the draft or even both. Speaking of that, Ridder the Future says this: What wide receivers could we get in the NFL draft or NFL free agency? It's an interesting question. And I absolutely do believe it has to be a priority for the Falcons here in the offseason. Taking a look at some draft options here, you're going to get a chance to see Quentin Johnson play on Monday night in the national championship game. Personally, he is my favorite guy in this draft. I mean, what he has done in that TCU offense, helping them get to a national championship game, has been really impressive. Jordan Addison, as advertised this season at USC. Then Jackson Smith and the Jigba at Ohio State, also one of the best in the country. Jalen Hyatt may be an underrated guy because you hear a lot about those first three guys, not as much about him, but he had a phenomenal season at Tennessee. Other guys to monitor here leading up to draft day: Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Cedric Tillman, Nathaniel Dell, and Parker Washington. I do believe that one of their first two picks is going to be on a wide receiver. I know our producer, Nick Roloff, likes crew necks, so that's a pretty good one right there, Nick, and I might have to get one. That's pretty fresh. chatsports.com/Falcons crew. Those are on sale right now. And we're in January. We're still in winter. It is crew neck season. I should not be wearing a polo today. I'm a little bit chilly. Chatsports.com/Falcons crew. Go and pick that up. It is on sale for a limited time. Sticking with wide receivers here, taking a look at some free agent options. Juju Smith-Schuster just signed a one-year deal. So he's available. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. probably going to be one of the more coveted free agents. A lot of people thought he was going to play this year. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. Jacoby Myers, he would be really, really good. Mecole Hardman and then Alan Lazard, some other names to monitor there. Now, should the Falcons address wide receiver in the draft or free agency? D for draft, FA for free agency. Go ahead and type B for both, too. I mean, they could always sign a guy and then also draft a guy as well. I think that would be a good decision. Keep in mind, Calvin Ridley's now in Jacksonville. Ben, what's up? We need to add some key players to our defense. You're right. And there's a lot of needs that the Atlanta Falcons have to address here in the offseason. Taking a look at some defensive free agents. Marcus Peters is going to be a guy that you maybe inquire about. Daron Payne, I really like Payne. There was a lot of trade rumors surrounding Payne in the offseason. He did not get traded. And then Yannick Ngakoue, I really like him as well. John Jones, and then Samson Ebukam, the edge rusher for the 49ers. So some talented names there. I do think you got to get a lot better in the secondary, and I really like John Jones. He's really talented with the Patriots. Who is your number one free agent target? Go down in the comments section. Let me know. For me, it is John Jones. I think he got to improve in the secondary. Yeah, he had some injuries there this year. Hopefully you're more healthy there next season. But you have to get somebody in free agency. Mark Jones, what's up? How many years does Smith have to build a competitive team before he's fired? You know, I've gone back and forth on my thoughts on Arthur Smith. I think you have to give him another year. I think if the Falcons do not contend for the playoffs next year, maybe you look to move on there. I thought he should have gone to Desmond Ridder a lot earlier. And I think that decision certainly cost the Falcons a game or two, which a game or two might have cost you the division. The division was really bad this year. You could have won the division maybe 8-9, and you couldn't even do that. So I think you have to contend for the division next year. Not to mention, Mark, Tom Brady's probably not going to be back in Tampa Bay. So how good the Bucs are next year is going to be a question mark. The Saints played a lot better at the end of this season, but they don't have a first-round pick right now. That could obviously change if Sean Payton gets traded. They need a quarterback probably in New Orleans. So next year's a really good opportunity to win the division. If you don't, maybe, it's obviously going to depend on a lot of other factors, maybe you consider moving on from Arthur Smith. But I like him. I think he's a good coach. Gio, what's up? What does Arthur Smith have to do next season to keep his job or stay off the hot seat? How badly is he on the hot seat now on a scale of 1 to 10? If you're talking about right now, Gio, it's like a 2 or 3 on the hot seat right now. He's not going to get fired after this season. It's just not going to happen. But if you're talking about going into next season, probably a 6 or a 7. Next season's a make or break year for Arthur Smith. It's year 3. He has yet to make the playoffs as the Falcons head coach. I like him. He's obviously a good offensive mind, but the offense has not been very good. Granted, he hasn't really had a quarterback. I mean, he had a washed-up Matt Ryan last year, and in Marcus Mariota this year before Ridder has been showing a little bit of promise. So they got to figure out the quarterback position this offseason. Maybe Ridder's the guy. Maybe he's not. I would like to see him get a shot to at least compete for the job. I think he has got to contend for the playoffs next year, Gio. I wouldn't say make the playoffs because what if he goes like 9-8 and misses the playoffs? But he has to at least contend 8-9 at least to save his job next year. Jiggy Plays, what's up? Who should we get in the first draft? I'm assuming you mean first pick. Edge rusher, quarterback, wide receiver. I would say an edge rusher since we don't fully know what Desmond has to offer. That's a great question, and it's going to come down to a lot of different things here. The number one thing is a quarterback going to fall. Let's say some miracle happens and C.J. Stroud falls a few picks and you're able to trade up and get him. Then I would do it. But that's probably not going to happen. I really like the idea of adding an edge rusher. Certainly some talented guys in this class. I think wide receiver, maybe you go round 2 there. Maybe Hyatt's still on the board in round 2. But I'm with you. Outside of the first 2 guys, Young and Stroud, this quarterback class certainly has a lot of question marks. Be sure to go down, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have you covered leading up to Week 18. Also going to have you covered during the offseason.